It's Fully Threaded Radio Special Report.
Hi, everybody. Eric Dudas here, Fully Threaded Radio with a fast special report. We wanted to get this one in ahead of the International Fastener Expo later this month. That's happening in Vegas. Most of you know that. Many of you are heading out there. Marc Strandquist will be heading out to Vegas this year. During this special report, you'll learn what he's up to now and how he can possibly help your company maneuver through the turmoil that is all around the fastener industry these days. You know, we just dropped the Fastener Distributor Index. Some discomforting news there. We dropped below 50 again. It came in at 47.6. Mike McNulty will be talking about Kelly Cole on the next full episode of the podcast. But the point is, things are a little chaotic right now. Mark's one of those guys who's a steady hand in the industry. He's looking to help companies guide through all this. Case in point, before we get to the segment with Marc Strandquist, I wanted to play this short comment from David Kerr of Metal Resource Solutions. I spoke to him at the MWFA tabletop back in August, and he gave me a hint about what was coming down the road in terms of European steel. And of course, it's a global market these days everywhere you look, folks, but it's a harbinger as well. I'm going to drop that in right now. You'll get an idea about what may or may not be coming down the pike as it relates to steel and these energy surcharges that everybody's talking about. And this special episode of Fully Threaded Radio is brought to you by our title sponsors, Brighton Best International, Global Fasteners, and Star Stainless Screw. Here's this short conversation with David Kerr. Metal Resource Solutions is a distributor in the specialty metal markets. They're based out of Westchester, Ohio. David Kerr comes to us now from McHenry, Illinois. He's with Metal Resource Solutions. David, good to speak to you.
A pleasure. Thank you for having me, Eric.
We were talking at the MWFA, actually. It was several weeks back now, but you saw yet another potential storm cloud looming on the horizon, this time from Europe and the steel suppliers there. What's this all about? It had something to do with the energy surcharges, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's correct. We've been noticing each month as we get a surcharge from suppliers in Europe that the energy surcharge has continued to climb steadily throughout the year.
So what's the effect?
Well, the effect is that the price of the metal is going to continue to climb as these surcharges climb. The information that we've been shared with from the different mills we do business with is that they don't know what to expect. This winter is going to be an economic shocker.
Okay, do you have some specific examples about some of the increases you've seen? Because there's always been energy surcharges, but what you were telling me is that there's just a big spike happening right now.
Absolutely. One mill, for example, they have plants throughout Europe. In January, the surcharge was about 5 cents a pound. October, they're now at 28 cents a pound. Another mill we do business with, January, their surcharge, these are just the energy surcharges, 12 cents a pound. October, it's 36 cents a pound.
Okay, so that is very dramatic. What's happening to finished materials coming out of Europe as a result of this?
Well, depending upon what country the material comes from, there may be a slowdown or perhaps a halt because they're trying to conserve energy, as you're probably well aware. I mean, they use energy to manufacture everything. To melt steel in a blast furnace, that takes a tremendous amount of energy as well. I believe the average household in Germany is spending close to 480 euros a month to heat their homes. That's a projection, so they're trying to limit the amount of energy that's used, so there's plenty to go around.
Yes, we've all been hearing and seeing headlines about all of this, the energy crunch in Europe, and it's hitting home in the fastener industry with these steel surcharges. So have you seen any impact on the North American market yet?
We have not seen any yet. Well, it's been insignificant in the respect that American mills, one of them in particular in January, they didn't have a surcharge for energy. October, they're at 1.50 pennies. So it's there, but it's rather small in comparison to what we're seeing come out of Europe.
We're not expecting to see any reversal of this trend, of course, because the energy issue is huge and it's looming and it just seems like a big mess. Well, Metal Resource Solutions is operating for customers in North America. How are you helping them to navigate all of this or to view all of it?
Well, what we're trying to do is we monitor the situation. We listen to what our vendors have to tell us, and then we share that information with our customers. But we're really not limited to just using mills in Europe. We have mills throughout the world that we do use. So if there isn't a problem in one section, like, for example, if there was a supply problem in Asia, we have suppliers in Europe. If there's a problem in Europe, we have suppliers in India as well as Asia.
How do you see the domestic market right now, if you could describe it very quickly?
It's been steady for us. Business has shifted. It seems most customers are placing business out for a longer period of time than they used to. Very few transactional orders these days. It's mostly program buys to circumvent the issues with the long lead times.
Interesting. How do listeners get a hold of you, David?
The best thing to do is to reach our website. That's www.metalresourcesolutions.net. We have salespeople throughout the U.S. If you go to our website, you can find the salesperson for your area, and they'll be glad to help you out any way we can.
Thanks for advising us on this, and look forward to seeing you at the next event.
That's right. That'll be at IFE. We'll be at booth 1163.
And as you heard, David Kerr will be out in Vegas. You can stop by the Metal Resource Solutions booth to speak to him further on all of that. And as you'll hear, Marc Strandquist is going to be in Vegas. He wants to talk to you also if you have questions about what's happening, about how to navigate this uncertain future. He's got a lot of thoughts on that, as you will hear in a moment. Thanks for listening to this abbreviated version of the podcast, everybody. And I'd like to remind you that although it may be a short version, we have the full support of our partner sponsors. Brighton Best International, Global Fasteners, and Star Stainless are the title sponsors of the podcast. And Fully Threaded is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, Solution Industries, Stelfast, 3Q Inc., Volt Industrial Plastics, and Worth Industry North America. Tell you, this is a solid lineup of fastener companies, everybody. Y'all know that. You'll talk to most of them when you're out in Vegas, too. Please give them a big thumbs up from Brian and Eric. And stop by the FCH booth while you're out there as well, everybody. We've got a few goodies to hand out. Of course, y'all know the Vegemite will be in abundance, and we've got some of these great new pens and who knows what else. Brian and Lynn will be out there. Talk to Lynn as well. Get your voice on the podcast. We'll get to this conversation with Marc Strandquist right now. Just a quick technical note. We had a little bit of a technical challenge as we were setting up for this. I was operating out of our new studio out at the Chicken Ranch. A few things to work out. Marc had his own challenges in his new home office, so we made do. It's very listenable, but on my side of the conversation, possibly not up to our usual standards. This is still an excellent conversation with industry veteran, Mr. Marc Strandquist. We're speaking with someone now who actually needs little or no introduction. Coming to us from Rockford, Illinois, it's Marc Strandquist. Mr. Strandquist, how are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate that, Eric. Doing real well.
Hey, it was great to see your daughter, Erica, out at the MWFA recently. That was kind of a surprise. She's with Sems and Specials now.
Yeah, she's really enjoying herself. It's a great company, great culture, and she feels very comfortable with what they're doing. And, she's got 10 years plus of experience within the fastener industry, so I think she's been a good addition for them as well.
Yeah, that was really great. We got a little clip of sound, put it on one of the recent episodes. Well, it's good to hear your voice as well. It's been a little while, and you've got news. We're going to be talking about that a little bit here. It was too bad you didn't make it out to the show in Chicago, but I understand you are headed to Vegas.
Yeah, I am. I'm excited about returning there, between COVID and, I haven't been there in several years, so I'm anxious to get back out there and rekindle relationships with people and continue to get a pulse on what's going on in the industry.
Well, it's a pretty sure thing that most of the people in the audience are well aware of your history in the fastener world. It's been a 35-year plus career. You've been in many aspects of it, including at the helm of some of the biggest names in the industry. And you're doing something a little bit different now. But as we head into Vegas, can you remember back to your first time you headed out to the fastener show out there?
Well, actually, I'm so old. When I went to the fastener show the first time, it was in Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
So I started attending those shows way back then. So I don't remember whenever the first year was in Vegas. I know that I had gone and it didn't go every year, but I've gone to most years. It's just a great opportunity where everybody's gathered in the same place and you can sit down and have a conversation and talk business and network and just catch up with people. You know, within the fastener industry, it's so unusual in that. You work with people and then they move on to a different company, but you still remain friends and colleagues. And it's good to rekindle those relationships. Maybe someone you haven't seen in 15 years, that you might run into there. So that's an important part of that whole process. And for me, on a personal note, I'm excited because my son, Alex, who is the CEO for the Worth Additive Group, the 3D manufacturing, is going to be a guest speaker or a platform speaker on Tuesday. And so for me, I'm going to enjoy being able to see my son get up there and answer questions and do a presentation. So, yeah, it should be a really enjoyable visit.
That should be really good. I see him out on LinkedIn all the time. I see him at the shows. He's really lighting the world on fire in that additive space. Good for you. Good for him.
Yeah, I'm really proud.
Seems like a lot of energy going into Vegas this year. So,
yeah, that's what the feedback I get is, I think people have been, pinned down because of COVID and travel restrictions and, just general conserving cash and trying to ride their way through the COVID process that has been going on. And so I think it's going to be a good time. Some companies are going to, I understand, are sending more than one person and really making a presence there. So I think that'll help accentuate the benefits for everybody.
We had Morgan Wilson, the Vegas show manager, on the podcast recently, and we made the observation that there's a different blend of international companies this year, Mark. Specifically, there's several Indian companies and also some companies from Turkey showing up. Now, of course, that's in the absence of lots of Chinese companies that had come previously. And I was speculating that maybe this is the harbinger, or I guess the first evidence of this new brick supply world that's coming into shape. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's, India has always been a producer. It's always had difficulties getting product out of India. That's been more of the issue, is extremely long lead times. And in today's day and age of the supply chain difficulties, that has been an obstacle for them. But I think that, they're coming out to make their presence known and to try and go get market share. I just talked to a Taiwanese supplier today, and, normally they would go to Vegas, but one of the key people hasn't gotten his shots yet, and he won't get it. So until the travel restrictions are dropped about having shots and vaccinations, some of those people from Taiwan and China may not be able to attend. So that'll be interesting to see how that impacts things in terms of attendance.
Yeah, that's definitely a headwind. As we record this, we just received news that Canada is dropping all travel restrictions, which is good news. Hopefully that'll make things easier from some of our neighbors to the north. And we won't get distracted by that comment either, Mark, because I know that we have a fishing trip that may be coming north of the border. So
I'm counting on one next summer, that's for sure.
Yeah, I miss going up there. The fishing is just unbelievable. Well, there's lots going on in the fastener industry as we head out to Vegas, that's for sure. I mean, where do we start? We've got the possible train strike coming. We heard about that from Chris Donnell. We've got continued consolidation. We've got big changes happening at some of the real big companies as we speak. I mean, what do you look at first when you think about the fastener industry as of September 2022, Marc Strandquist?
Well, I think that we have some unique opportunities ahead of us, especially on the domestic manufacturing side. I think the supply chain problems that have occurred have made people kind of be very introspective in terms of who they're sourcing products with. I think it's a shame, back when I started in the industry in 1986, there was probably triple the amount of fastener manufacturers than what we have today. I mean, it's unlikely, so I'm not a fear monger, but I mean, in the event China and Taiwan did get into it, I don't know if people realize how dependent we are on the fasteners that are manufactured in just those two countries and what that would do to the U.S. economy. It's really almost a national security issue. If for some reason that supply was shut off, the current domestic manufacturing base in the United States could not handle that increase in production. I mean, it would be a devastating blow, and it would take quite a while to try and recover from it. So, I think in terms of the 50,000 foot level, those kind of issues, the railroad issue, which would be a real concern, and that would have a serious impact. Well, the typical pile up of containers on the West Coast versus, people shipping them to over to the East Coast or through the Panama Canal. There's a number of more logistics driven and potential capacity issues than most things. But I think we're seeing there's some companies that are being very aggressive right now, and they're out there in an acquisition mode and doing some great things. And that's kind of why I decided, I waited 1 year from when I departed Optimus. I had a non-compete that I honored, and that ended in August. So here I am in September getting ready to go. And instead of jumping into the corporate life with a direct responsibility, which I've done for the last 35 years, I really want to look at this consulting thing, whether it's a big project, which is why I'm part of the Sellside Group with their resources. And if someone is looking at preparing their company for sale, if they're looking at buying other companies, even though the name is Sellside, we can provide resources for those companies that may not have those type of resources available. So we don't actually go out and buy companies for ourselves. We help you, the company owner, in the whole thinking process and the strategy and the development of a plan. And maybe someone doesn't want to sell their company for 2 years. We can help put the plan together in order to maximize their selling opportunity. But we also, on the lower level, I also do my own thing where I can help on small projects where you don't need all those resources that the Sellside Group can do, and be a catalyst to help a C-suite person with some of the projects they're doing and strategy and being able to handle all those types of things. And I'm also open to board positions. I'm in some discussions right now with a fastener distributor and with a fastener manufacturer about potentially being on the board. So I'm excited about getting back into it. I've joined the NFDA, one of the greatest organizations we have in the fastener industry, and who I was very active with it previously, and now I plan on participating again and being a positive contributing member. So I'm excited about the future and what the possibilities are, and hopefully have that ability that for that that owner that's looking to talk to someone about strategy and really doesn't have anybody to talk to. Hopefully, being someone that they can go to for advice and counsel and help them orient the company the right way for the future. I do think we've got some challenges. I think some companies are going to take advantage of it and go out and do acquisitions, and other companies are going to hunker down and ride out the storm. And I think over my 35 years, I've done both, and I know what some of the right levers are to move within a company and hopefully help position people for success.
Well, you jumped right into it there. Talk about Sellside. Good work, man. So you've got this big news, and I guess that's really the headline, and congratulations on that. I think a lot of companies are situated to benefit from your wisdom and experience. So sounds like you're ready to do it.
I think so. I think, I've gone through the been there, done that in terms of, I started out as an inside salesperson. Was a traveling sales guy back in the day when, you had pay phones and the big red manufacturer's directory, and you had your big atlas in the front seat looking around searching for customers, and, went through sales management and then got into distribution operations management, manufacturing management as a plant manager. And then, of course, the last 24 years, I've been at the C-suite level as the CEOs of companies or the equivalent. In the Worth case, it was as an EVP. So, I think that broad range of both sales and operations, and always been growth oriented. Everywhere I've gone, generally, we've always grown the company and had success. And so, especially if someone's looking to put together a successful strategy on how to grow their company, I think I can provide a lot of value.
I was looking at the post that you made when you first announced this, Mark, out on LinkedIn. and you said, we're looking at a future that's going to demand sound strategic planning in order to survive and prosper. And I think just a moment ago, we alluded to some of the reasons why you think this. I wonder if you will drive that idea home, though, because I think there's a lot of companies that are in particular situations and they need a guy like you out there. Can you speak on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. I think the experience that I went through with COVID and, that April of 2020, having 52 customers all shut down and, having to deal with a real dire situation and being able to do it successfully, I think is important, as well as growing a company from when I took over at Worth, it was $325 million. And when I left, it was $850, growing $500 million in 5 years. So, but even on the small scale, when I was with Surface Supply, I went from 45 million to 168 million in 5 years. And that was all organic with no acquisitions. So I think there's real tough times ahead in this economy. You just watch the stock market, and they struggle at the federal level in terms of what are they going to do to control inflation. And I think the times we live in today have not been seen by the C-suite level people, and that's not anything other than it's just never happened before. This unique situation of COVID, supply chain issues, runaway inflation, all these things put together, someone's standard 3 to 5 year strategy that they had in place has to be rethought, and talking, and how do you compete? How do you deal with the Amazon effect? How do you deal with, all those types of things? It's a rare kind of combination of things that no one saw, as we've gone through the ups and downs, since World War II, it's like clockwork, the economy goes up and then it goes down. It's just a matter of, does it go down for 2 years or 5? And that's one of the things right now is, as we see things slow down, is this going to be a short-term issue? Is it going to be a long-term issue? Is a company doing all the things it needs to do in terms of managing cash, managing its costs? Does it have the right structure to weather the storm? But I think, there's a lot of things that sometimes some of the smaller companies, the people have a work experience within their company, but not necessarily a broader experience with a lot of other kind of both tangible and intangible things that occur. And that's hopefully something that someone like myself can help provide some guidance on and be a part of the team. One thing for me is, I think I'm very much a team player and very open and transparent in my communication. And I think that, people could depend on the advice and counsel that they get. And I think that we do have some challenging times. I'm reminded, about 10, 12 years ago, I listened to an economist speak, and that person actually predicted that right about now, there was going to be an upcoming recession. And his joke at the end of his presentation was, for the parents, keep the big house because your kids are going to be moving back in. That they predicted things were going to get that bad, that, the kids may end up moving back into the house. So it's a little eerie that some of this might be coming to the forefront, and that, we're going to have to deal with it. The recession is obviously a bad word, but, you get that going for more than a year or two, and then we start having to talk about depression. And so what is a company doing to make sure they can do that? And so that, I think, is an important element that people need to think about.
Well, especially in times of adversity, it's good to have a seasoned hand on the helm, and you're a guy who can certainly offer that hand. Let me ask you this. What additional resources does Sellside Group offer? So when they get Marc Strandquist, they're also getting a full package, aren't they?
Yeah, there's 22 other people like myself from different industries. There's people that are experts at HR and culture. There's people that are experts in operational type issues. People that are, fall into the strategy development side of it. There's a whole variety within those 22. And if you look at the website, it's very detailed with each person's bio that we're all part of the same team. We also have a business development section that's got 45 people in it that do a lot of this business analysis and development of leads. And so let's say, someone wanted to sell. And so that group would help with the phone calls and the research and analysis of what type of person would buy it. That group also could do the opposite in terms of if someone comes to us, and like I said, we have one active engagement right now within the MRO and PPE, that person has tasked us with going out there and buying companies and or helping them buy companies. So we also do a lot of research to find the right fit in this case, as an example, it's a privately held company. It's not owned by PE. And, they're looking for kind of family-owned private companies, direct sales force type of thing. And they want to add it to their platform. So, that's another thing that our resources can provide. And so that's kind of a unique situation. If, again, you look at the bios, and these people have some pretty deep experience at the operational and sales and HR, culture, et cetera level, and they're scattered throughout the United States. So I think that part is going to be interesting in terms of being able to lean on those resources for specific issues.
And the website there is sellsidegroup.com. You'll be out in Vegas, and I know you're going to be eager to speak to anybody who has an interest in exploring some of these ideas further, Mark. What's the best way for people to reach you, maybe set up a conversation to see you out there?
Sure. Well, they can reach out through the cell phone, as always. That's 586-943-9028. And my email is mstrandquist@sellsidegroup.com. But again, if it's something that's a smaller deal, they can just reach out to me, and they don't have to have the full suite of services that Sellside offers. Even if it's a small thing, then I'd be able to handle that as well.
Outstanding. You're also out on LinkedIn, so folks can catch you that way. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's going to be good. I hope that we hear a lot of good feedback from Vegas in every way, including conversations that stem out of this visit today. And I have no doubt that's going to happen. Good to hear your voice, Mark. And as we alluded earlier, we have an opportunity to travel north of the border maybe next summer and compare notes on all of this stuff.
I can't wait. Looking forward to it. I haven't been to Canada either for several years, so I really enjoy it. Very relaxing, and obviously some great fishing opportunities.
Right. And my take is that with all of the rest that some of these lakes have had, fishing's going to be really good. Well, let's hope so. And let's hope business is one way or another bounces back. It's Marc Strandquist, Sellside Group. He's back, folks. You can talk to him. So good to see you, Mark. Best of luck to you.
I sure appreciate it, Eric. You have a wonderful day.
Talk to Mark out in Vegas, and make sure you stop by the FCH Sourcing Network booth out there too, everybody. We'll be in 1261 this time, right next to Mike McNulty at Fastener Technology International, by the way. Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast, and never quit getting out there and selling some screws. I know you won't. To close this one out, here's our friend Jake Davis of BTM Manufacturing talking to a guy at the SFA conference that happened recently out there in Oklahoma, and he has a reason why quitting is a good thing. Go figure. Talk to you in the near future, folks.
Jake Davis with Lloyd Banks SFA Conference and Expo just wrapped up. Lloyd just wrapped up a speech with the Choctaw Casino and Resort. Lloyd Banks, LloydSpeaks.com, speaker, entrepreneur, quitter. So that last one, you're wearing a T-shirt with that today, and that's kind of what you spoke to our association this morning. Aspect of it, you don't normally see that on a tagline for a speaker. So nutshell, 30-second commercial on just how you kind of came there.
Yeah, I think it was that I realized after kind of looking back at my life how many things that I quit in order to succeed, which led me to the statement of I think you have to, in order to succeed, you have to quit. And I realized that everything that we were taught about success and we learn always excludes quitting. But I think people need to understand the complexity of quitting and how it can actually lead to more success.
Yeah, the aspect of us, you kind of took us through your story. I mean, certainly the highest of highs and certainly the lowest of your lows, yep. and kind of where you're at now, and just your decision to open up a restaurant. Oh. You had great success, 10, 15 years ago with nightclubs and bars and that. Right. And like you said, life happens and decisions are made and you're at a low, and now you're back on your feet and you decide to open a restaurant fall of 2020, and right. We all know how that transpired. yes. And that aspect of it. And I think my biggest takeaway from your time with us today was quitting the right things. Absolutely. And the aspect of trying to figure out what in our life we need to how we can be a better person, a better employee, a better leader.
Absolutely.
In the aspect of if we quit just the right things.
Yeah, because I never want to leave these things, and I said it, but I've had people say, oh, you know what, are you telling me I should go quit my job? No, don't quit your job, but quit all those things that are holding you back or that aren't bringing you joy or success or value. Why are you doing these things? And you gotta, and sometimes it's hard, and you gotta be brave to stand up and say, I'm gonna quit these things and I'm gonna move forward. And if I hadn't quit all the things that I'd quit, I would never be where I am today, which is absolutely happy and healthy and love my wife and family, and life is great.
No, I appreciate it. Like I said, it was a good hour. We appreciate you coming here. Lloyd Banks, LloydBanks.com, speaker, entrepreneur, and professional quitter.
Yes, absolutely.
So enjoyed it, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse.